Nerdy Sports Fan here with the first Sunday night post-game report of the season for me. Now, this was a fantastic game between the Chiefs and Seattle up until the last few minutes. Score definitely does not show how competitive this game was. First half ended 10-14, and really kind of just barely swung in Seattle's favor on a couple of key plays. Second half is really where the story of the game lied. So, Seattle is built for the long haul. They're built for the playoffs. They've been there. They've won Super Bowls. Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson know what they're doing here, and you can really see that in the game plan that they took into this game, and really the kind of style that they're going to be playing the remainder of the season. They were running the ball all over Kansas City. Beginning of the fourth quarter, end of the third quarter, they already had 200 rushing yards on them. So, yeah, they just dominated on the ground, and eventually, as Kansas City moved that defense forward, Tyler Lockett and Doug Baldwin were able to take advantage of some pretty simple coverage tactics. The corners were all over them. Give credit to Kansas City's corners. They actually played the ball quite well in a lot of cases. They were just better. Perfectly thrown balls from Russell Wilson, and really phenomenal catches from Lockett and Baldwin down the stretch pulled them away in this game. Wilson had some timely scrambles that got chunk yardage up the middle, and Kansas City didn't have an answer for that. Their offense is really suffering without Kareem Hunt and without Sammy Watkins. You can see that they're no longer as potent as they were at the beginning of the season, and they still haven't really found their legs. I expect some of that to change. The emergence of the running back Williams, taking time away from Spencer Ware here, seems to be good for them. He was hit on a couple of screen plays and got some good runs through this game. But yeah, as far as receivers go, Tyreek Hill gave them a bit of a scare with getting dinged up late in the game. He ended up coming back into the game, so we'll keep an eye on that. They have the option of resting people, but they probably won't. They're still in the driver's seat as far as a first-round bye, and home field advantage throughout, because the only other team that really stood a chance of taking that away from them was the Chargers, and they lost yesterday. So as long as they win their next game, which should be pretty easy, I'm pretty sure that's against Denver, they're going to be sitting pretty. So they have the opportunity to potentially rest Tyreek Hill, depending on what the Chargers do in their game. But from what I understand, even if the Chargers win and Chiefs lose, tiebreakers will favor the Chiefs. So really they're more worried about teams like New England catching up with them. But they've really got to screw the pooch against Denver in order for that to happen. So is this Andy Reid's normal issue? Fantastic regular season. Peters out towards the end of the year and then lays an egg in the playoffs? Or is this just Kareem Hunt got hurt, they still haven't figured out what they're going to do on their offense to really make it as dynamic as it was before without him? Maybe they can't. And there's a book on Mahomes now. So you can see he's still a dynamic player. I mean, he had a throw earlier in the game that was essentially underhand across his body. Exactly the kind of throw you teach young quarterbacks not to make. And went for a completion and almost a touchdown. Actually, no, it was a touchdown. It was like a 30-yard touchdown reception to Robinson. Hey, guy's a freak, all right? Underhanded arm angle, sidearm arm angle. Being a pitcher in college probably helped him a lot with throws like that. and that might be something that the league looks into later on, possibly getting people that have some baseball background as a pitcher, not necessarily a a field position like Russell Wilson was a second baseman. But both of them actually had some off-color throws. You had a little bit of sidearm flick from Russell Wilson across his body, across the field. Again, it's the kind of throw you always train quarterbacks not to make, but both quarterbacks were making throws like that look relatively mundane. So, yeah, it's a different league now. These guys are much more talented than they used to be. The speed of the game has increased, sure, but looks like quarterbacks are keeping up with it. I really liked Seattle in this game. I think they cemented themselves as a team that really, the NFC has to worry about. I think the two most dangerous teams from the NFC perspective going into the playoffs are the Bears and Seattle. And it's mostly because they're complete teams. You have serious offensive firepower with the quarterback to the wide receivers, but there's also a great running game and a great defense. And you really can't say that about every team in the NFC. The Saints have Drew Brees, so they're always going to have a passing game. They have a fantastic running game with Kamara and Ingram. Their defense is not as strong as what you have with the Bears or Seattle. And as we all know, in the playoffs, the refs swallow the whistles. They let the guys play a lot more. We'll see if the rules changes that have been applying to wide receiver contact get called a little more laxly, or if they're still very tight about it to keep the offense ramped up. Personally, I think they're going to swallow the whistles like they do every single year and let the guys play more. That's going to lend more to the defensive-minded teams, and the Bears and Seattle are going to be dangerous because of it. On the AFC side of things, you'd like to see Kansas City, you'd like to see New England, really good offensive play, sure, but defense is going to be playing a lot stronger in the playoffs. So Houston is probably the team to watch out for in the AFC picture, and really the Ravens, as long as they can keep things together and keep it moving forward, they're dangerous with Lamar Jackson at the helm. And their defense is one of the best in the league. So, yeah, I think the more well-rounded teams in Seattle, the Bears, and Houston are going to be a lot more fun to watch come playoff time. You're starting to see it here late in the season. You saw it here in this game. Seattle was really clamping down on Kansas City. They don't look as good as they did at the beginning of the season. They still don't have an answer for the loss of Kareem Hunt. And Seattle won the division tonight. They cemented their place in the playoffs. They can afford to rest people. I'm not sure they can improve their playoff position much at all. So resting players next week, making sure Doug Baldwin is fully healthy. He got a little dinged in this game. He's very important for them offensively. So making sure Doug Baldwin is fully healthy going into the playoffs is a big deal. Pete Carroll looks like he has righted the ship fully, and with a young core that he's developed there, it's probably going to be another few years of Seattle getting into the playoffs. Enjoy this one, Seahawks fans. You guys earned it.